Hello, welcome to Wildcard FPL. It's been the international break. Some of us have enjoyed that break, me especially. Some of us haven't. We're itching to get back. But we're going to be talking about our transfer plans with the game week deadline coming up. 11 a.m. Saturday, I think it is. So an early one, but we're going to be doing our research and diving into some of that. We're also going to be looking at injuries that some teams have picked up, especially during the international break. Some are known, some are not so well known. Some we need to replace, some we won't. But we're going to be talking about it, all of it here. So let's get right into it. So transfer plans. Look, I could be honest. I haven't looked at my team since I threw my phone out of the car window some weeks ago now. So I have no idea what I'm going to do. But Alf, you had a good game week. You are ready to go. Tell us, what are your plans?
Yeah, so I've got a couple of issues. The first one is Mitoma. I think he is confirmed out, or a very high chance of not playing on the weekend. He's also just been really bad, so I'm thinking about getting rid of him anyway. I was, and as per the previous podcast, I was thinking about doing Mitoma and Son out to Eze and Mbeumo, or doing Mitoma and Son out for Mbeumo and Bowen. So I feel like it's just kind of pushed me towards that door in a way, if you will. Like him being injured just confirmed my initial plans, if you will. So right now I was playing around earlier, and I did do Mitoma out for Eze and Son out to Bowen. I do like the look of that, but also Mbeumo's got some really good fixtures coming up. I think he's got Arsenal next, but after that they do kind of clear up a little bit. I do have 2 free transfers, so that looks likely. The only thing for me right now is thinking about the Christmas break. The fact that Spurs don't have Europe is actually really appealing to me to keep Son, which is a good point because these guys are going to be playing a lot of football over the next couple of weeks and months. So I actually think Son might be a keep. Having said that, perhaps I do Mitoma to Mbeumo and then maybe get rid of Lascelles. I have 2 Newcastle and I'm not feeling too good about having 2 of those guys. So I think a Newcastle defender out, Mitoma out, or I could even do like a -4, like a cheeky little -4, maybe sort of my goalkeeper issue because Turner's just not going to be playing going forward. So a couple of things. I think the priority for me is Mitoma out for either Eze, Mbeumo, and Bowen. And then perhaps like Lascelles out for back to Simicast would be a real crazy move, but considering it. And then maybe kind of Turner out for someone. Getting rid of Son frees up a lot of cash, so I could do Turner to Edison or Turner to Allison, which I really like. But perhaps not a priority for this week. John, how about you?
Yeah, I'm in Steve's camp. I haven't really looked at my team for last week. Had a nice decompress after the Spurs disasters. I'm mostly just hearing about the Bowen injury, who I just got in. So I'm trying to keep tabs on how long that's going to be. Has anyone heard anything on the grapevine about Bowen? Do we know?
No, it says, knee injury, 75% chance of playing. It's the first I heard of it was when he withdrew from England, England camp. So that's news to me too. I haven't looked at my team for a while. As I said earlier, he's the only Dorito I've got actually is Bowen. So I've got other players I can bring in for Bowen, but I think it's an interesting one. When did you get Bowen in, John? Sounds like you've done a transfer in the international break.
No, it was last week. It was just the classic. Get him in for 1 week. He did return at least, and maybe it seems. I'm just having a little Google. It seems like it's not too bad. Training injury.
I've seen that as well.
Famous last words. Has a scan. He's out for 3 months or something. I don't really know where else to go in midfield. Yeah,
there's a lot of options, isn't there? And does that change your plans at all, Alf? Because you were mentioning about getting in. Have you got Bowen already?
It does.
You thinking about getting in? Or were you thinking?
Yeah, it does change it. now I'm like, stay away from Bowen. Perfect. So Eze or Mbeumo in for me. Great. Actually helps me a little bit.
So I've got Haaland and Bowen with Doritos. Not ideal. I think Haaland's going to be back from what the Norwegian coach was saying. It's not that bad. He had to skip a game. So I'm going to keep him. I'm not going to do anything mad. Bowen, I'm going to transfer him. I'm quite happy with the midfield. I could probably go Saka, Gordon, Douglas Luiz, Salah in midfield quite happily. If Haaland doesn't play, I've got Archer coming in, and my defence is Tsimikas, Trippier and Mitchell, which isn't great. And Newcastle are going to Chelsea, which now suddenly looks like a really difficult fixture for them with their injuries and Chelsea's form. Are they in form? They beat a 9-man Spurs. They drew 4-4 with City. Are Chelsea back? I've only got one free transfer. Maybe Chelsea are back. Maybe I get Palmer in. Maybe I ditch Saka for Palmer. I'm sick of Saka.
We've got Aston Villa. Lots of people have got Aston Villa players. I've got 3 Aston Villa players. Is that too many Aston Villa players?
It's probably in it. Hedge your bets.
Yeah, I mean Tottenham away. It's a good time
too
to
many
go
Aston
to
Villa
Tottenham.
players. I've got to get rid of them. When I think I've got Cash, Watkins, and Diaby. A lot of people out there have got Villa players like Cash, like Diaby, like Watkins, like Douglas Luiz. Should they be? If you look at their fixtures for the next few weeks, they've got Spurs away, then they've got Bournemouth away. And do you know what? I don't think Bournemouth away is an attractive fixture as it looks. And then following Bournemouth away is Man City, Arsenal, Brentford, and then finally Sheffield United, which is an easy game for them probably on the 18th. I would say right now, Villa players are probably a sell, looking to buy back Watkins for the Sheffield United game in game week 18.
Yeah.
There's also
I'm looking at the fixtures.
There's also Europe. There's also Europe in there that you've got to consider. So they've got in between Gameweek 13 and 14. They have is it Europa? And then in between Gameweek 16 and 17.
You're right. Yeah, they've got these hard games.
It's not great.
And they've got
games plus
got Europe. So it's looking like I think 3 was having Cash, Diaby, and Watkins was a good thing for a few weeks. I have 2 free transfers to use, so I'll probably be looking to get rid of at least one of those Villa players, if not both of them.
I'm really interested in Nottingham Forest as a curveball because they've got Brighton, who don't look great at home, Everton at home, then Fulham and Wolves away, and Tottenham at home. I really don't think playing away at Forest
Awoniyi has scored a lot of goals. Awoniyi.
Gibbs-White as well is really good. Gibbs-White is the man.
Gibbs-White. I could be thinking about certainly those cheaper players that are making up the bench or sort of your extra defender.
Forest are looking really good. They got a really good couple of fixtures coming up. They got Brighton at home, Everton home, Fulham away, Wolves away, Tottenham home, Bournemouth home over the next 5. So I'm wondering if Gibbs-White might be actually quite a good punt for that, because he's always going to play, isn't he? He's always one of the first on the team sheet, and he always seems to be doing something, either scoring or assisting. So I think Gibbs-White would be a good shout for midfield. I'm a bit sick of all these template picks. Loads of the content creators this week are talking about Eze, and I've got to a point now. I'm almost thinking away from those sorts of picks, because they always just go wrong, don't they? We've had it with Mitoma. We've had it with all these other types of midfielders that people are repping once a week. I think Bruno a couple of weeks ago was another one. I do think I need to start looking away from these template transfers in. Maybe I don't do Mitoma to Eze or Mbeumo, and just do try Mitoma to Gibbs-White. That could be a good punt.
If you think, I don't mind it. I think I had Eze at the start of the season and got a bit burned. I always think Eze is reliant on somebody else scoring the goals and he's getting the assists. That's how it feels to me. I know he's on penalties. Palace don't typically score a lot of goals, but Palace don't score a lot of goals. So, like, yeah, what's in it in terms of like, if you're going to get someone from Palace, do you just get someone who's actually going to be scoring the goals like Edouard? But I'm with you. I think if I was going to go for Forest, I'd probably Gibbs-White's a good pick. I'd probably prefer Awoniyi just because he's the guy who seems to be the main man. But both of those players, Gibbs-White and Awoniyi, you know you're going to get 90 minutes, and that can be worth a few extra points above the likes of the other players that we're talking about.
Yeah, Gibbs-White is on pens as well. I just checked.
Oh, Gibbs-White's on pens. Yeah.
How much is he?
It's 5.7 mil.
Their fixtures not good. Ooh, bargain.
5.7 mil for Gibbs-White.
And what are the fixtures, John?
Brighton at home, Everton at home, Fulham away, Wolves away, Tottenham at home, and Bournemouth at home for the next 6. I just think that's a lovely little run for a team that's playing really well. Yeah.
You could easily bench one of your... If you brought in a Forest player, you could easily bench them for the Spurs game if you really didn't feel like they were going to do anything. You could bench them, but the others seem like they'd be in the mix for being in your starting 11.
I can't really see a team with like a nicer 6 fixtures that's like any good. Burnley have got their easiest run of the season probably, but they'll still lose them all. West Ham, but they've got Europe. Burnley away.
What about Solanke, Bournemouth? They have some pretty good fixtures. So they got Sheffield United away, and then Villa, Crystal Palace away, Man United away, Luton home, Nottingham Forest away. They're actually, some are pretty bad, but I think for the next 5 they're placed 5th in the fixture ticker. So Solanke up front could be a good punt as well. Maybe I do use my 2 transfers and get Gibbs-White and Solanke in. Solanke for Ollie Watkins, Mitoma for Gibbs-White. What do you guys think of that?
It's a bold move. I worry that Bournemouth are still way down the table, and it's that thing where it's not quite points chasing, but Solanke has been quite hyped up, and he's been on all the Sky Sports things. Solanke's finally coming good, the player we always need to be. That's guaranteed to get 4 blanks in a row when there's all that hype for that player. And it is Bournemouth as well. It's the whole team could be playing badly and he gets no service. So it feels a little bit. I really liked for a few weeks, really a couple of months. I think they've been playing really well.
Solanke is on pens, right? And they've not had a pen since they got promoted from the Championship 2 seasons ago. They've not had a pen.
Wow,
how crazy is that?
A duo pen. Pen on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pens and duo. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming up. It's coming.
Yeah, I mean, we did it a few weeks ago when we were saying the injury list in the Premier League was already historically long, and as the weeks have gone by, it just keeps going up and up and up. We've just had the internationals. We've had Bowen's injured his knee on England duty. Haaland missed a game for Norway. Mitoma's out. Isaac and Almiron, the 2 Newcastle forwards, are a doubt. Wilson's out for a long time. The other Newcastle forward, Botman, big pick for a lot of people at the back, still out. Antonio at West Ham, differential striker, out for 3 months. Son, I think, had a little scare on international duty, but it's apparently okay, but potentially a risk. Ferguson came off with a hamstring injury for Ireland. Jesus, apparently training, but kind of out. In terms of Arsenal, Odegaard injured, and Onana sent home from international duty as well. So quite an insane list. I think we're up to 196 Premier League players injured in 3 months, which sounds absolutely...
Some of those are more well known than others. When you look at the injury list and you see people like Ahmed Hodzik for 1.1 million or whatever he is going to be in FPL, injured himself He's just got hurt feelings from a bad experience at the post office. But
we cannot replace him. We cannot.
Other than that, I think some of these names are quite big. Look, I think Haaland is one of those ones where it's come up, and as a person who doesn't have Haaland, and was thinking about do I just cave and get the massive blonde robot baby back in? It was nice almost to hear that he might have a little bit of ankle knack. But typical, I think, typical of my luck will be that he'll be absolutely fine and he will rain down goals upon Liverpool for most of the 90 minutes that he faces Liverpool. Most of those 90 minutes, he will be scoring goals. That's my prediction. Will I get him back in? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's not a great fixture. It's Liverpool, but they are at home at the Etihad. So my prediction is that the only injury Haaland will pick up is one possibly relating to just being overtired from scoring so many goals. Unless, of course, I do get him in. In which case, his ankle will give way after 1 minute. And in the middle of being stretchered off, he'll get a red card. And that's how it goes. And that's FPL.
Steve, can I ask a follow-up question for that? If you were to get him in, let's say on Saturday morning you've eaten your toast and you checked the news and he seems all right, and you've got him into your team, are you captaining him?
Yep.
100%.
Yeah. You have to.
Love that.
I think we spoke about that the other week, right? We spoke about this the other week. And we kind of glazed over it. And do you know what? I was thinking about it the other night when I was brushing my teeth. That's when I do a lot of my FPL thinking. And I thought to myself, I have Salah, and I didn't captain him last week. And we spoke about EO, effective ownership, and we spoke about the impact that can have on your team. If you have Haaland, you have to captain him. Otherwise, every goal he scores just kills your rank. I didn't have Haaland, but I did have Salah, and I didn't captain him. And he scored some goals and he killed my rank. So I think, I kind of didn't follow that rule. So if I have Salah and only Salah this weekend, will I captain him against Man City away? Who knows? Probably not. But if I bring in Haaland, I will.
John, what are your thoughts on Haaland captain? Where are you at?
I think it's actually a good time to captain Watkins. Spurs, despite having one of the best defensive records in the league, without Mickey van de Ven and World Cup winner Sergio Romero. I'm like 85% there. I'll keep an eye on Haaland, especially if Haaland's a substitution risk. I don't think Salah's going to do that much against City, although Chelsea managed to score 4. I think it'll be a different game there, and I do think. I feel like Spurs are on the ropes a bit at the moment, and the atmosphere is going to be a little bit horrible. Villa are playing really well, and they'll use it to their advantage. So I'm going to go with my sort of my gut, but also like my experience as a Spurs fan.
Alf, what are you going to do about your double Newcastle defence? Because
that's a good question.
That could also hurt you as well. Obviously, you've got Cher, who we love. You've got double Newcastle defence. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. How are you going to tackle that?
Yeah, I did. And I said this on the last pod last week. I was thinking about maybe bringing back in Simicast because I got rid of him stupidly. But should I really bring him in versus City away? Probably not. So I'm actually thinking, just looking at the fixtures, I think Crystal Palace actually might be a really good way for me to hedge my bets. So if I do Lascelles to Gahey or Mitchell or Anderson, I think that could be a good shout so I can get into this Crystal Palace defence. That would be the smart move, I think. And I would actually be tempted to do that for a -4 if I want to do some things with my midfield as well. So yeah, I think Newcastle. One of my Newcastle assets to Crystal Palace is the smart move to to make at this point. John's got a similar sitch. John, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I've got Lascelles and Trippier, and I've got Tsimikas on the bench, and I already own Mitchell. So I'm definitely going to play Johnston and Mitchell away at Luton. Going to keep Trippier, and then I'm going to bench Lascelles and play Tsimikas. Yeah, that's kind of all I can do, really. Yeah, I mean, my bus team at the moment, I'm like almost thinking about rolling and yeah, just having Trippier and Gordon from Newcastle playing. I definitely don't want triple Newcastle, but yeah, I'm fortunate. But we said last week, Crystal Palace defenders, they're banking a lot of points. Johnston's banking points in goal. I think they're having a Crystal Palace defender is a good asset over time.
Yeah, I do. I have Gehi. I'm going to probably play Gehi and Kabore. I do feel like that could be a 0-0 that game, and it would really suit me if it was 0-0. Kabore and Gehi, 2 clean sheets. I'd be happy with that. I want to talk very quickly about something. I think this could be one of those weekends, another one of those weekends, where the average score is going to be incredibly low. There's a few reasons I think that. When you look at most people's team, people tend to have Villa, Newcastle, Spurs, Man City, Liverpool. All of those teams are playing each other.
They're all bloody playing each other.
We've got Newcastle, Chelsea. We've got Villa v Spurs. We've got City v Liverpool, and then we've also got Brentford v Arsenal. It's looking to me, I'm just glancing down at the fixtures. It's looking to me like this could be another one of those 25, 30 point weekends, which kind of goes back to what Alpha was saying earlier about having some of those Nottingham Forest players or someone from outside of that group. This could be a nice weekend to own one of those players who is outside of that template group. The only other one I had that was probably outside of that was Bowen, who's got Burnley away. Burnley away isn't a super easy fixture, but if Bowen has picked up an injury and might either not play or might not play the whole match, there's suddenly, my team probably looks like a lot of people's team out there. It's a lot of template players. They're all playing each other. So maybe it could be well worth bringing in a Forest player who we know have a decent run of fixtures and actually gets you away from this horrible we're all playing each other week.
And don't have Europe, right? Like, that's a big thing.
And not also don't have Europe. Yeah.
Like, so everyone's injured. Like, it's not a good time at all for these players. So I think that is a really big factor. That's why Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Spurs, which is why I think leaning towards Son, keeping him. Nottingham Forest, these are teams that are going to get us through these next few weeks and months, in my opinion. And we've got to be smart about it. Like, don't go too template with it. Just like try and get a little bit smart about who's on pens, who's going to play 90 minutes. Like, Gibbs-White for me is really top of that list. Like, I feel a lot of love towards Gibbs-White at this point in the week. So I'm thinking I might just do that. I'm not going to get Eze. When people are like, get Eze, get Mitoma, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to look at someone else. That's my rule going forward.
I think it could help you. I mean, we know that like 5 or 6 extra points could be right now. It's still worth a few 100,000 places. I think having Gibbs-White in place of, especially if we know, like I said, I think this is going to be a 35-point week on average, just because of the way the fixtures look. All of those games will be tight, with the exception, as we know, of Man City, Liverpool, which we know we know that Man City will rain goals down upon Liverpool, unless of course I bring him in, in which case it'll be really tight. But most of the time it will be really, really tight, I think, these games. So it could be a 35-pointer. So suddenly having 45, 50 points could actually be worth a few 100,000 places. John, any differentials out there? So Al's picked Forest. Like I said, I'm going to go with Kabore, I think, off my bench in defence. It's a bit of a differential defensive pick. Anyone else out there that you're thinking? Any other teams out there you're thinking are not being looked at? There's 20 teams in the Premier League, and we're picking 11 players from about 4 or 5 teams right now.
20 teams, man.
I've got one for you. Yeah. I think, well, yeah, I mean, I subscribe to the Nottingham Forest theory as well. I'll be looking there. But I think a lot of people have Archer on the bench, and he's got Bournemouth and this game week. So I think playing Archer off the bench, especially with so many midfielders injured, is a move. I might play Archer over Bowen, bench Bowen. But yeah, I'm also really in on Nottingham Forest.
Look, yeah, if you have one of those injured players and you want to replace them, I may have even been myself talked into a little bit of Nottingham Forest action, because I just really like the idea of having a player that isn't playing one of those teams that's all around each other, playing each other. I like the idea of having one of those teams that's a bit of a differential. So maybe an Awoniyi for Alvarez, something like that.
That's nice.
Which gives me some money back elsewhere.
That is nice. Nice.
And it feels like one of those ones that, if it comes off in my mini leagues, no one will see it coming, apart from the fact that they'll all watch this YouTube channel. So they absolutely will see it coming. So I'm definitely not going to do that. Actually, I've changed my mind. I'm definitely not going to do that.
Sell Forest.
But yeah, no, I think Awoniyi for Alvarez is a really nice move. Alvarez has not returned in the last few weeks. And there'll be more Champions League coming up. Christmas is going to be a busy time, so I do think maybe something like that could be a good one. I do also have Darwin as well, so I could do Darwin to Awoniyi. Great, so those are our transfer plans for the week. We are looking forward to being back into FPL. I'm sure that it's going to be a difficult week. I do think it's going to be a low average score week. But yeah, hit us up with any questions you have about your team and thoughts you have and plans you're making for the game week ahead. Do remember to like and subscribe the video, because every little subscribe helps. We really do. We really are very appreciative of everyone that clicks that subscribe button, but also that like button too. Keep on mashing away at those like and subscribes. We absolutely love it. Seriously, every time we get a new subscriber, we're absolutely made up. So make our day again. Yeah, that's about it from us this week. We will see you next week, when hopefully Haaland will have either scored a load of goals for me because I brought him in, or not scored because I left him out. But yeah, we'll see how that goes, and we will see you next week. Cheers.
Peace.